Blessed Touch inches up on the inside of Gila, who's now 5 lengths off the lead, passed by In Color. Get the Money goes to the 3/8 pole, In Charge, continuing to travel sweetly on the front end, 2.5 length lead. Doing It the Hard Way second. Liberal Lady third, followed by In Color, now inching forward, 3 lengths off the lead. 2 more to Blessed Touch. They're a quarter of a mile from home. Get the Money, Doing It the Hard Way, now called on to close the gap. These two, 1-2, and Doing It the Hard Way just had to steady coming after Get the Money at the 8th pole, and Doing It the Hard Way straightens up and is up to take the lead from Get the Money. 3 more to In Color in third. Coming to the 16th pole, and it's Doing It the Hard Way, edging away and putting away Get the Money. Doing It the Hard Way cruises home to win by more than 2. Get the Money second, In Color third, Liberal Lady was fourth. Streisand to the outside. And they're off. Senora Minister is very quick away from the gate, joined by Ava's Storm in the green colors down at the rail. My gals, Dawn and Lori, is in the firing line, and so is Miss Joni. Another 2 back to Turquoise Bikini, who races on the outside of Bella Baby. Precipice is very eager on the outside, pulling her all the way up to 4th, and also eager inside of her is Turquoise Bikini. It's a long way to Streisand. Past the half-mile pole, and Senora Minister with an easy lead of 2. Miss Joni is in second. Down at the rail, my gals, Dawn and Lori, with Precipice racing in 4th. Then Ava's Storm, Turquoise Bikini losing ground steadily, and Bella Babe starts to make some headway, 4 off the lead and 3 deep. Approaching the quarter poles, Senora Minister still in charge, opens it up again, and Senora Minister has a 3-length lead at the top of the stretch. Precipice taking up the chase on the outside of a weakened Miss Joni. My gals, Dawn and Lori, followed by Ava's Storm, coming to the 16th pole, and it's Senora Minister well on her way to an easy win. Senora Minister came back fit and fresh and scores by 3. That's 2 for Freysu. Precipice, a good second. Third went to Ava's Storm. Then my gals, Dawn and Lori, and it's close for 5th.
There's three simple words that describe our seminar guest today. It's family, faith, and friends. But as you'll find out over the next 40 minutes, you'll also find out that he has a positive attitude, a very positive attitude, I should say, about everything in life. And in my opinion, that's why he's a winning horse player. It's my pleasure to welcome in our very special seminar guest today, Dave Samarzich. Dave, welcome to the seminar. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, Tom. It's a pleasure.
It's long overdue to get you in the studio here.
Oh my God, I'm really honored, and I've been coming here a long time, and it's wonderful.
We're going to talk about that, but let's first talk about your family. Of course, you've got two beautiful sons and your wife who you've been with for a long time, Elizabeth, Christian, and Simon. They're really the bedrock of the reason why you live on planet Earth.
Absolutely. I've been blessed to have celebrated my 33rd wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
This past, Cinco de Mayo.
Easy to remember.
And both my sons, Christian and Simon, have been blessings. They've done extremely well in school. One of them's already graduated. Well, they both have graduated from college. And Christian's off into the working world.
Poor guy.
Simon is going to participate in his 5th season in the Pac-12 playing football for Washington State.
I was going to say, I see you representing the colors of the Washington State Cougars. They both went to school there. They both played football there. And as you mentioned, your son will be playing in his 5th year and hopefully moving on to the NFL.
Absolutely. That's kind of part of the game plan. But he's getting his master's right now. So if it doesn't work out, he'll end up either coaching or doing something in either the NFL or major college.
And I mentioned, Dave, faith. And of course, you're a very religious man. That's a very important aspect of your life. It's something that's really missing in most of our society these days, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It is something that I take very seriously. I got away from it for a little while, finding excuses why not to go to church too often. But I'm back on the light. My boys, my wife, were very blessed individuals.
And let's talk about your friends, because they kind of had an influence on why you came to the racetrack. You actually went to high school right across the street almost at Arcadia High. And as you well know, I don't need to tell you, there's a lot of students there, both past and present, who migrated over to the racetrack, even if they had to climb a fence to get in.
Absolutely. This goes even further back, as my grandfather was one of the builders of the racetrack.
Wow.
And he had passed away a year before I was born, but he was one of the builders, and they had offered him stock, and they offered him cash, and they offered him stock and cash. He turned it down. He bought like 6 lots up there on Baldwin and Hampton and divided them. And my grandmother lived out majority of her life there. And I was raised in Arcadia, went to Arcadia High, and went to school with the starter, Jay Slender, Kurt Hoover. Everybody knows Kurt.
Of course.
And then
a lot of trainers, sons and daughters.
Right.
Too many to name.
I mean, it's kind of neat. There's so many, from the Jack Harvas, and you have Scotty McClellan, who's the agent. Mike McCarthy's doing extremely well. It's
part of the fabric of Arcadia, California. Is that how you got your introduction to the racetrack, Dave?
I actually got my introduction to the racetrack when I was about 7 or 8 years old. My uncle Bob Samarzich had taken me here, and we bet on a couple horses. One of them's name was Mila's Turn, and the other was Better News, and they both won. And I just remember running down the stretch in the apron as they were going down the stretch. And
you could not run the horses, could you, even at that age?
No, but we pulled a double, and we went down to Los Alamitos right afterwards.
That's known as the degenerate doubleheader, right? You do the races here in Arcadia, hop on the 605 freeway, and go to Los Al. Those were the days.
Absolutely. And that was my introduction to the track. I've been going now for like about 53 years. My record was back when they used to run the 78-day meets. I went 72 times.
Almost perfect attendance.
You had to say, and that's being honest. And I've got, I think, better and better through the years. And, there's nothing like it. This San Anita racetrack is probably one of the most gorgeous tracks in the country. And yes, I've been to Belmont and Aqueduct, and I've been to Gulfstream, and I had moved a couple years out to Texas and watched Mattress Mac build Sam Houston with his partners. And we went to Bandera Downs and Delta Downs on the weekends, but there's nothing like coming home.
Now, we'd be remiss, Dave. We were talking about your friends at Arcadia High, and you played some football over there. There's a well-known football personality and family by the last name of Matthews. You played with Bruce back in the day.
Right. Bruce and I, between each other, we have a total of 14 Pro Bowls.
He's got all 14, doesn't he?
Yeah, unfortunately. But with that being said, Bruce and I met in high school our sophomore year, and we became best friends, and he's godfather to both my sons. And I couldn't ask for a better friend. In fact, I did bring him to the racetrack, and Danny Velasquez was training then, and we went in and got our claiming license. And this is right after he signed his contract back in the early 80s. And once his wife found out, she put her foot down and said, no, I don't think so.
We're talking to Dave about his family, faith, and friends. We haven't touched on his positive attitude yet, or more importantly, his winning days at the racetrack. We're going to find out who Dave likes on today's 9-race card. But before we do any of that, let's toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramani and get the early changes on a beautiful Saturday here at the Great Race Place.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park. Track is fast, the turf is firm. The rail on the turf today is at 20 feet. Here are the changes. The first, scratch number 3, Teton Valley. There are no changes in the second. No changes in race 3. In the fourth, number 1, California Bling carries 3 pounds over. There's a $77,000 jackpot in the Rainbow Six pool on races 4 through 9. Fifth race, 8 Neon Lights, 2 pounds over. In the sixth race today, there are no changes. Race 7, number 3, Good and Thirsty, 1 pound over. Eighth race, win wagering only with the scratches of 2, none above the law, and 3, Escape Route. Golden Hour Pick 4 does begin with race 8, no place in show wagering. And the ninth is the grade 3 San Luis Rey, scratch number 6, Agatino. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place. Post time for the first and 59 minutes at 1 p.m. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner. His guest today, Dave Samarzich.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with Dave Samarzich. He is obviously a horse player for the last 5 decades. He's a resident and a native of Arcadia, California. He plays the races on a regular basis. He's a winning horse player. The reason why I know that is he texts me all his winning tickets all the time, but more importantly, he's got a very positive attitude, which I think is overlooked being a handicapper and a horse player. Let's face it, we're going to have some bad beats along the way. You have to be able to turn the page and forget about the past and just focus on the future. You have an innate ability to do that, Dave. How do you kind of manage that mentally and maybe physically?
You ride the highs and you ride the lows. You just don't go too overboard with the wins, and you're gonna have your losses. I mean, it's like a baseball hitter. He hits 3 out of 10. He's batting 300,
and he's almost in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly, and it's the same principle, and in the races. And I wish I would have known a little bit more 40 years ago when I was playing how I play now versus, taking the beatings and loading up on the chalk and what have you. And but I've been doing a lot better now.
Let's talk about how you play, Dave, because I know you like the multi-race exotics. You usually play pick 5, pick 4s. I haven't seen many pick 6 tickets, but those seem to be your go-to bets.
Like for today's example, I believe we have a pick 6 mandatory payout
At Gulfstream Park.
Correct.
Yes.
And those are the type of bets I like to make across the country, but there's so much value with the pick 4s and pick 5s. If you can knock out 1 or 2 favorites, your value can quadruple. And I was fortunate earlier in the meet. I had one of Mike Pipey's horses canoodling.
I
and
remember.
It got out over here, and
Big price.
I had a pick 5 come back, and I don't know, I won like $100,000.
And that's another point that I wanted to make, Dave. You press your opinion as well. You just don't play it for 50 cents or $1. You actually press your opinion and play it multiple times, particularly if you're looking to beat the favorite.
Correct. And I'm also known, if I like the favorites, like I do in the first race today, I'm not afraid to bet the $2, $5 pick 5.
Sure.
And especially if there's a smaller field, I like to single it out and try to multiply the winnings. And then I like to play the pick 4s right behind the pick 5. And
well, you mentioned race number 1, Dave. So let's take a look at it. Race number 1, we're sprinting 6 furlongs in the turf course. The rail stood air at 20 feet. And race 1 is a starter allowance race for those runners who have started for a claiming price of $25,000 or less since January 1st, 2021. Of course, race 1 begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. And there is one scratch. Scratch the 3, Teton Valley. That leaves us with a field of 5. The morning line favorite in the current betting choice on the bottom is number 6, See Through It, who's 8-5 right now on the tote board. This is also the first of 3 morning line favorites that Edwin Maldonado rides on today's card. But before we get your thoughts on the race, Dave, I wanted to watch a replay back on April 19th that 3 of these runners exit. And those 3 runners specifically would be, I should say April 9th. Those 3 runners specifically would be number 1, Barristan the Bold, as well as numbers 5 and 6, Natural Power and See Through It. There's a couple things I want you to pay attention to as we're watching the replay. First of all, See Through It battles every step of the way. And that race on this particular day, the replay we're going to watch was 5.5 furlongs. And also watch the gallop out on number 5, Natural Power, past the finish line. The reason why I mention that is because today's distance is 6 furlongs, a half furlong longer than the replay we're about to watch. But let's listen to Frank Miramati describe the action back on April 9th in the third race that these 3 runners exit out of.
And they're off. Maven, See Through It coming through along the inside second. Chaos Theory third in the early going. And Barristan the Bold is up close, taking third. Then comes Butkus and Natural Power at the back of the field. It's Maven hard ridden to the half-mile pole, leading the way by about a half a length. See Through It at the rail second. Barristan the Bold inches up with Chaos Theory 4th and 3 off the lead. Butkus 4 off the pace and a length in front of Natural Power. They're midway on the far turn. Maven and Barristan the Bold. Barristan the Bold now moves his head in front. At the rail, Maven tries to battle back and does so. 2 more See Through It and Chaos Theory, Natural Power at the rail. An 8th to run and Maven digging in. 2-length lead now, See Through It second. Barristan the Bold flattening out. Natural Power at the rail. It's Maven, See Through It. Maven 3/4, See Through It, trying to get closer. Maven or See Through It. Here's the line. Maven held on by a head. See Through It just...
Dave, no one was going to go by Maven that particular day, but on the gallop out, you can see Natural Power coming up the rail, running out very, very impressively, which I think is going to benefit him today since the distance is 6 furlongs. But take nothing away from See Through It, who broke from the rail on this particular day on the replay we were watching and now draws the far outside post. I know you like number 6, See Through It, in this very first race.
Correct. All 3 of those horses look fantastic. Big move by Barrister around the turn.
Maybe a little bit too premature.
It just moved a little bit too soon. I really think the 6 could have moved a little sooner, but you had Maven sitting there and couldn't get through. I'm going to go and stick with See Through It, and I'm going to hope that the 5 can get by Barrister, and that'll complete my exacta.
And not only the exacta, Dave, but in terms of playing the early pick 5, it sounds like you'll probably use both of these runners, but maybe press See Through It a little bit more.
I've already made my plays, and I was already on the machines, and I've already singled the 6.
Fair enough.
And I just think that I wanted to get a little more coverage later on.
And as I mentioned, see through it, broke from the rail on that replay we watched, now draws the outside and what I consider to be the advantageous post. That should work in his favor. Let's turn the page, Dave. Take a look at race number 2. Begins the 50-cent early pick 4. We're going 1 mile on the main track. This race is for allowance optional claiming types. Non-winners of 2. Other than we've got a field of 5. Number 4, Paroli, who's turned to a Tiger since adding blinkers 2 races back for trainer Michael McCarthy, is the 8-5 morning line favorite. This is the first of 4 morning line favorites that Juan Hernandez rides on today's card. Juan had a good day yesterday. You expect him to win race 2, Dave?
Well, I'm going to actually stick my neck out and go with the 5-horse American Admiral.
Tell us why.
I like listening. I use Handicapper's Report,
which is the analyzation of the morning workouts.
and I've known Aaron Hess for a long time, and I like what they had to say. The horse is training very well. I think you're going to get a little bit better price, and I honestly think the 4 is going to get overbet.
Fair enough. You also like a Paroli to finish second. Not much of an exacta here in a 5-horse field, but American Admiral, trained by Tim Yachtin, ridden by Ramon Vasquez. I'll ask you a question that I ask all my seminar guests. How important is the trainer and or jockey in terms of your handicapping selections? Do you place a large emphasis on those connections? Do you place minimal emphasis? How do you factor in jockeys and trainers, Dave?
I use the jockey. I think the jockey maybe about 10%. If I'm saying that correctly.
I understand.
I use certain trainers, and there's certain trainers I won't use. This race I will double, no question. I don't want to get beat by the 4. I don't like the 2 whatsoever. I don't want to be negative, but I honestly think the race goes through the 4 and 5 here. And trainers, absolutely. You always give them a good look. And in later races today, there's Mark Glad has a couple in each race, a couple of different races.
Yes, he does. Let's take a look at race number 3. We're back on the turf course. This time we're traveling 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course. This race is for 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds and up who have not won 2 races lifetime. We've got a field of 6. Number 1, Franklin 1 Star is the 2-1 morning line favorite. Good to see Don Schnell back here at St. Anita. If you have a long-term memory back in 2019, he trained a runner by the name of Escape Clause who won multiple stakes races here at the Great Race Place. He ships Echo Canyon, the only 3-year-old in the field who has multiple wins, into Santa Anita today for an effort. 6-1 on John White's morning line. 6 different ways you can go here, Dave. Which way you going?
Well, I'm gonna go with Bodacious. I think his buyer ratings stand out. I honestly do like the 6. I like what Handicapper's Report had to say about him. They've got him on B+. The work reports are very good. Prior to his last race. I'm going to kind of throw his last race out. No one particular reason. Maybe had a bad day, but he's getting his old jockey back.
He also went 2 turns that day and now shortens back to a sprint.
Exactly. And so I'm going to stick my neck out and go with the 3 and the 6 and just double the race, leave it alone. I really have a hard time throwing Doug O'Neill out. My buddy Michael Chang that I sit with is a big Doug O'Neill fan, and I've known Doug since he was coming to the racetrack with his best friend Mark Verge. I mean, we go way back.
Way back when.
It's hard to bet against him.
I think he started out working with the Jude Feldbarn way back when, if I'm not mistaken. Good old Doug O'Neill.
Yes, Jude. I've known Jude for a long, long time. Go back to the 70s.
Good memories, that's for sure. Back in the day.
Wonderful. Him and Bob and the family's just wonderful people.
Completely agree, and they're very close with the Ammerman family, who has a first-time starter a little bit later on today's card. Race number 4, Dave, begins the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6, the jackpot single-ticket carryover, now up to $77,000. That amount plus whatever is wagered today will be yours if you're the only winning ticket in the Pick 6 sequence. And we kick things off here in race number 4, sprinting 6.5 furlongs on the main track. Maiden claimers, fillies and mares, $20,000 is the claiming tag, a field of 6. Number 2, Tennessee Moon from the aforementioned Doug O'Neill barn, ridden by Edwin Maldonado, is the 2-1 morning line favorite. Dropping down in class to the lowest level yet is a cap and gown day today for Tennessee Moon.
Absolutely. I am totally in on this Doug O'Neill horse. I'm going to double the race, though, on my pick 5. I am going to use Sugar just to see if the horse is going to wake up. It's 0 for 15. And You could single it, you can double it, but I think we're going to get by the one horse. And Louis Mendez has done an incredible job, and he's dropping this horse to his lowest level. But I'm going to stick my neck out. Let's go with Tennessee Moon.
Fair enough. 2 and 4 in race number 4. Before we take a look at race number 5, Dave, a question for you. You talked about how you got your claiming licenses way back when. Did you actually ever get involved in horse ownership?
No, that was the end of our dreams.
Reality sunk in?
Bruce's wife, she put the whammy on it. And here he had signed a contract for millions and millions. And he ended up moving out to Houston and lives out in Sugar Land. And we're still best of friends, and we talk 3-4 times a week. And we went to the boat maybe 4 weeks ago over here at Clearman's and had lunch.
Do they have enough food for you guys?
Oh my God, yes. It's great stuff. But yeah, we had a wonderful experience growing up together, and I couldn't ask for a better friend. Bruce and I had opened up a beverage company. We had the rights to the drink Snapple, and we sold it. I moved back home, planted myself in Upland, and
raised your 2 boys.
I did that because the coach Bruce and I, Dick Salter at Arcadia High, his son was the head coach, and in the event we had boys, I wanted them to be under the realm of Tim Salter, and it happened. They became ball boys. And they both went on to play Division I. They both graduated from high school with high regard, and then into college. And then Simon's working on his master's now. And
a new homeowner.
And Christian bought a home out in Chino Hills.
That's right.
I couldn't be prouder. I'm that dad.
Now, Bruce has some sons that he's also proud of as well.
Absolutely. Bruce has Jake playing for the Atlanta Falcons, the left tackle, and Jake just bought like 2,000 acres just outside of Houston, and he's played in his 10th year now with the Falcons. And Mikey, he had a cup of coffee with the Dolphins, and Kevin played for the Titans. And he's had extreme luck. He had Bruce's brother Clay. He had Clay the third playing for the Packers for 10, 12 years or something like that. And then Casey went to Oregon, and he went off to the Philadelphia Eagles and the Vikings. So that whole family is just incredible athletically, and they were just gifted.
They play at an elite level, that's for sure. Let me ask you a question, Dave. What is it about horse racing that so many athletes migrate to? Is it because of the competition? Is it the beauty of the sport? Is it the gambling side of it? Is it all of the above? Why do we see so many athletes, either, pro, retired athletes, kind of come back to the track and enjoy it so much?
Well, you like the competition, and it's like chess or backgammon. You want to be the best. You want to handicap the best. You want to pick winners.
You want to solve the puzzle.
And the puzzle is incredible. And that's kind of why I do it. I find myself doing stuff like that, but I'll also turn the TV on and I'll watch the television. And even if I don't even know who's running, I'm picking numbers and just having fun.
Paying attention.
Exactly.
It's a tough game to beat, that's for sure. We're very fortunate to be a part of it. Race number 5, Dave, features one of your favorite wagers. It's the 50-cent late pick 5 time, and we're sprinting 6 furlongs on the turf course for maiden special weights. A field of 9, plenty of first-time starters in here. However, the morning line favorite is one with an ascending Beyer speed figure pattern. Again, from the Doug O'Neill barn, it's number 5, Gio Venazzo, who is 5-2 on John White's morning line. Tough race to handicap. Was Handicappers Report any help here?
Both Handicappers Report and Andy Harrington,
which is nationalturf.com.
Fantastic. I use both. And I am telling you, I am stuck on the one horse.
He's been the rage of the morning clockers, hasn't he?
It showed up on all the sheets.
A 5-year-old debut starter from the John Sheriff's barn.
And I traditionally don't like to use John, with a first-time starter.
Sure.
But I think maybe this one at 5-1 might sneak through and get Doug.
I don't think we'll get 5-1 with all the clockers raving about Hula Candy. Not only did Andy Harrington and Aaron Hess rave about him, but Toby Terrell did as well. So it's kind of an open secret. But, he's got to overcome some obstacles. He's 5 years old, so obviously he has some physical limitations. He's also breaking from the rail. I'm not sure, like I said, we'll get 5-1. But if there was a second choice in the race, who would it be and why, Dave?
Well, Tom, let me tell you a little bit more about how I handicap and how I use these reports. I don't necessarily go along with who they're saying is working huge and so on. I use the reports more for the horses that aren't training well.
Mm-hmm. Process of elimination, right?
If I can eliminate 4 horses right off the bat like I did in this race, it makes it a little bit easier. So if they're going to bet the 1 and they're going to bet the 5, which I'm going to use both of them, I'm also going to include the 3 and the 6. I like the comments that I read from Aaron Hess. The 2 horses having trouble switching leads. Well, maybe the horse is still learning.
Of course, first-time starter.
Exactly. And so I'm thinking, well, I don't want him to learn with my money. Let's just let him get a race. So I'll tread more on the 1 and 5, possibly the 6, but all the other ones are getting X'd out.
And you make a great point, Dave, because sometimes the focus for all of us as handicappers is to try and select the winner. But in order to select the winner, it's actually going to help you if you can eliminate some of the field and narrow down the contention. That gives you a greater probability of picking the winner by being able to do so.
Exactly. And that's exactly why I'm going with the 1 and 5, and I'm going to probably include the 6 in a spread ticket.
Let's see who you're going to include in race number 6. We're sprinting 5.5 furlongs in the main track. Race number 6 also begins the 50-cent late pick for. This race is for non-winners of 2 races lifetime. $32,000 is the claiming tag. A field of 7, morning line favorite again down on the rail. Number 1, Booksmart from the Mark Glatt bar. 9-5 on John White's morning line. Talk to us about race 6, Dave.
Well, Glatt has 2 horses in here. He's got the 1 and 5. And I am going with Doug O'Neill. I'm going to stick to Doug O'Neill in here. I'm going to use Golden Spa.
Did he whisper any secrets in your ear on the way over to the studio?
You know what? I actually really took a liking to this new jockey.
Incredible.
I think
a hidden gem.
I think he can ride.
I know he can ride.
And I've watched him, and I said, this might be one that could sneak up on him. And so I'm going to put 4 with the 1, and I'm going to actually leave that race alone. We'll just double it and see if I can beat the Glatts. And I think Doug's got one here, and he's got the right jockey to fit his pattern. So
Dave's top pick in race number 6, number 4, Golden Spot. 3-1 on the morning line certainly represents value in what appears to be an open race if you can beat the favorite. Race number 7, we're back sprinting on the turf course. 6 furlongs is the distance. This is for Calbred, 3-year-olds, allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 1 other than. A good betting race, a field of 9. Take note, the number 8, Long May She Reign, is a filly running against the boys. A favorite again down on the rail from the Phil D'Amato barn. Number 1, Devil Among Us, 7-2 on the morning line. Lightly raced runners who have a hint of ability is always a difficult race to handicap, Dave. Who'd you come up with here?
Well, I came up with the rail horse, and that is going to come to me strictly from the work reports. Horses training incredible, and the last 2 works have really been B pluses. And both Aaron's handicappers report and Andy Harrington's national. So I'm going to put the 1 on top. I'm going to stick my jockey there on the 2 horse.
Now he's riding for Glatt.
And you know what? Let's take him back out of that stakes race last time and put him more with his kind. I mean, Kangaroo Court is an absolute runner.
And Buzz. They'd both be 1-9 in this field.
Exactly. And so let's stick with those 2. The other Glatt, the 8 horse, looks great. But I'm kind of sold on the rail and the 2.
Number 1, Devil Among Us. If you're a pedigree geek, you'll know that he is a full brother to Colt Fiction, very talented runner who used to be in the Bill Spar barn, earned $307,000 in his career. As Dave mentioned, both Devil Among Us and Left Hand Man, 1 and 2 in race number 7. Dave's top 2 choices both got beat rather handily by both Kangaroo Court and Buzz. But that's no disgrace, given that those are probably 2 of the most talented 3-year-old Calbreds on the grounds. And one last last note, number 1, Devil Among Us, broke from the rail last time out. But if you go 3 back, when he broke his maiden at Los Alamitos, he also broke from the rail that particular day, maybe giving indications that the rail won't intimidate that lightly raced horse. Race number 8 begins the $1 Golden Hour pick 4. If you're not familiar with that wager, it links our last 2 races here with the last 2 races at Golden Gate. And we kick things off here in race number 8 with a regular old allowance race, no extra conditions. 6 furlongs on the main track. Unfortunately, there are 2 scratches. Scratch the 2 and 3 leaves us with a field of 3. Dr. Schivel, coming off the long layoff, is 6-5 on the original morning line. CZ Rocket, another talented sprinter, a 9-year-old gelding, is 7-5 on the morning line. Sure looks like the race boils down to those 2 runners. Who are you going to give the coin flip nod to, Dave?
Well, total jockey's race. Dr. Schivel's an incredible animal. Horse has won 4 out of 6 at the distance. It likes Santa Anita a lot, as does CZ Rocket. Yeah, you could see that both Peter Miller and Glad entered those other 2 horses that scratched to make this race go. And I'm telling you, this is like an absolute match race. And I am going to stick to the rail horse. He has been training well. I read he trained against Affable and Good Juju. I just have a liking for him, and I'm just going to hope he doesn't get hounded too hard from CZ Rocket, and there'll probably be a photo finish for this one.
Question for you, Dave. Number 4, ZZ Rocket, actually comes back pretty quick from Dubai. And we've seen other runners, particularly from the Bob Baffert barn, runners like Silver Charm and Arrogate come back from Dubai, wait until Del Mar season opens in the summer, perform on the racetrack, and finish nowhere up the track at short odds. Are you concerned at all about CZ Rocket coming back on such short rest from such a excruciating trip?
That's exactly why I'm going to go with the 1. And that's the truth. And the outside horse, I think, is going to collect a check. And I'm just hoping Schivel I'll single. You can't double this race in a pick 5.
Should be a great showdown. Perhaps both connections of Dr. Schivel and CZ Rocket are using this as a prep race for the Triple Bend Handicap, which will be one of many stakes races on Memorial Day here at the Great Race Place, including the Breeders' Cup Winning Your In Grade 1 Shoemaker Mile. Should be a fantastic day and weekend of racing. Race number 9, we close it out with the stakes race. It's the Grade 3 San Luis Race Stakes. $100,000 guaranteed is the purse. We're traveling 1.5 miles on the turf course. We're going to start halfway up the hillside turf course. And if you have a good memory, you'll recall Charlie Whittingham has won 9 San Luis Race Stakes in his illustrious career, including 6 wins or 6 victories from 1982 to 1989. I was here to witness many of those. The late, great Charlie Whittingham, certainly a legend, not only here in Southern California, but also around the nation and around the world. Also, race 9 today begins the $5 Golden Hour Daily Double. Similar concept. Last race here with the last race at Golden Gate. We've got a good field of 8. Morning line favorite, number 4, Awfully Naughty, who the light bulb went off last time for trainer Michael McCarthy at a big price with Mr. Velasquez in the saddle, is the 8-5 morning line favorite. I love when we have a stakes race to close out the card. It's the most perfect way to end the day, in my opinion.
Absolutely. My Arcadia roots are going to have me rooting for Mike McCarthy.
True gentleman.
Although I do really like the way Leonard Powell trains. He's fantastic. We knew that when he had a couple of horses back in the day that had those long runs.
Yes.
Claimers that moved up. Soy Fett. Just
Brilliant.
He has done absolutely everything right. I watched that race last time, and that horse absolutely exploded around the turn and into the stretch and ran all those horses down. And I'm going to stick with him and think he's going to enjoy the other extra quarter mile. A dear friend, Bobby Fashing, Al Hamachart, we're all sold on this 4 horse. And the outside horse, training incredible in the worksheets. And I just think it's going to get a little bit leg weary at the end.
Mike Smith in the saddle, but you can see again another ascending, improving Beyer speed figure pattern for about the last 7 races or so. Changed barns many times, including getting claimed 4 races back for just $25,000. But you can see he's been very competitive in graded stakes races. I completely understand why you like him, Dave, because there's not a whole lot of early speed in the race. He could be the pace setter, particularly with the outside post.
Exactly. And when you mentioned Charlie Whittingham winning everything, one of my greatest times here at the racetrack was a Breeders' Cup. I got to share a box with Mrs. Whittingham.
Wow.
And
I believe her name was Peggy.
What an absolute honor. And her daughter was in the box with us. And, you know, as a kid growing up watching Balzac and King Pellinor, and he had Sunday Silence, so many good horses. And, you know, he would walk through the racetrack and there was such an air about him.
I remember that.
And remember that dog he had too?
Yes.
And I absolutely loved it. And Bobby Frankel and him and these races, it brings back those days of when I really started getting into it. And King Pellinor, oh my gosh, good stuff.
Well, Dave, you mentioned that many of the connections today have done absolutely everything right, and you've done absolutely everything right in life. Congratulations, not only for a fantastic family, but for your support of San Anita over the last 5 decades. We love having you here on track. We hope you knock it out of the park today. Thanks so much for your time and insight today. I really enjoyed the last 40 minutes.
And thank you for being such a gracious host. And let me tell you, Nate Newby, yourself, Frank Miramati, you guys have really kept the torch going. And if we need to communicate to more people to get everybody back out here. We've had a little lull, but they need to come back. There's nothing like this. The backdrop is phenomenal here. And they treat you with class here, and you guys are the best ambassadors around.
Thanks for the kind words, Dave. It's a team effort. There's certainly plenty of people behind the scenes that put in as much effort as myself, Nate, and Frank Miramati do. But thank you very much for the kind words, and thanks again for your time today.
Absolutely.
Thanks to all of you for watching as well. Next voice you hear will be track announcer Frank Miramati updating us with any late program changes. Tomorrow's card, 8 races, 1 o'clock first post. We'll do another seminar tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park. The track is fast and the turf course is firm. The rail on the turf out 20 feet. Here are the changes. In race 1, number 3, Teton Valley is scratched. Scratch number 3, Teton Valley. Second race has no changes, and there are no changes in the third. The fourth begins the Rainbow Six. We have 77,000 in the carryover. Number 1, California Bling, 3 pounds over. In the fifth, number 8, Neon Lights, 2 pounds over. Changes in the sixth. In the seventh, number 3, Good and Thirsty will carry 1 over. Race 8, no place or show wagering with the scratches of 2, none above the law, and 3, Escape Route. The 8th does start the golden hour, pick 4. And the 9th, the grade 3 San Luis race, scratch number 6, Agatino, start of the golden hour double. Enjoy your day here at the Great Race Place. Post time for the first is in 26 minutes at 1 p.m.
14 minutes to post. Yes, it's a Saturday here, and on behalf of First Racing and the Hollywood Meet, we'd like to welcome you to beautiful Santa Anita Park. Hi, everybody. Peter Lurie, alongside my partner in crime, Miss Zoe Cadman. A new shade and a new attitude. I love it.
And I always have a good attitude, Pete, and I'm delighted to be here. What a terrific card we have going on today. My absolute favorite race of the meet is the San Luis race.
Yes.
It'll be run as the last and final race today, race number 9. We have a terrific maiden race, race number 5. We'll get to see the full brother to multiple Grade 1 winner Oscar Performance go forward. We get to see the return of CZ Rocket, Dr. Scheibel. There is a lot going on today.
I'm loving it. Hey, you know, when you think of the races, those marathon turf races, was that a race that you preferred to ride, or did you have a favorite?
Oh, no, I love mile-and-a-half races.
What was it about it you loved?
I won quite a few actually at Kentucky Downs, which is now drooling grounds. That one time around and you might get lost in the outfield down there, but it's just timing. It's amazing, those mile-and-a-half races. We just saw one go off in New York earlier, the Man of War. There was a 6-way photo for second.
Wow.
Like, it is amazing. You can go a mile-and-a-half and still be in a photo.
Did you ever steal one? Did you ever steal one on the front end?
Oh, yeah.
That's the best part.
You know, Tyler Bays has won the San Luis race 7 times.
He won the Cal Cup Marathon at a mile-and-a-half for me on a horse called Time to Honor.
Yeah, it's a terrific race. I'm really looking forward to it.
We got plenty of racing to talk about, so let's get right down to the ring as they're coming out on the track. 6 furlongs the distance on the turf. These are starter groups. We have a scratch in the race, the 3 Teton Valley, and as expected, at least for me, See Through It, the 7-5 favorite. This horse is about as game as all get out. What's your thoughts on this horse?
Oh, yeah, he is as game as a pebble. A 5.5 last time. I think he gets a little easier trip sitting on the outside of horses. Last time he was drawn on the rail. He keeps Maldonado. He looks absolutely terrific in here. I squarely believe it is his race to lose. That is the 6, See Through It.
Fly the Sky just went by for trainer Steve Knapp. This to me is interesting going back to 6 furlongs because it's been forever and they've only done it once.
You know, he looked really good walking over. I'm not sure I've ever seen him look as good. I love him cutting back in distance. He did that last January here going 5.5 at Santa Anita, beaten by 2 that were in here. He was third, beaten 5.5 lengths with a horrible start, horrible trip. Barrison the Bold and See Through It were first and second that day. So if you like Fly the Sky at 4-1, I am not going to talk you off of him. He looks as fit as a fiddle. He gets the blinkers off. He's come in with a good series of works. He most definitely could be my second pick in here.
Hernandez stays aboard this one. JJ has been aboard with the exception of 2 races going back to January 30th of last year. So you know there's something about the horse that he likes also.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you can get the leading rider is fantastic. The 4 Can't Beat the Rock was interesting. I ran into Lorenzo Ruiz coming in here. And, you know, this horse, I just love this horse. He's such a cool horse. And I'm like, what are you doing in this spot? And he said he entered to help the race go. And so he stayed in. Good for him. But he does have back form on the turf.
He does.
Back here in June last year, going 6.5 furlongs, he was just beaten a neck by Cherubic Factor that day. Now he's coming back in quick rest. That's my only problem with him. He ran a monster race last time in a start of 50, an off the turf event. And I'm just wondering if that's enough to move forward off short rest for Can't Beat the Rock. I think his better races have come with a little bit more time in between.
With the exception of 6, See Through It, most of these horses are uncharted territory as far as winning at the distance. We'll be joined, as always, by Miss Millie Ball out in the paddock and Jessica Pfeiffer out at the gate. On behalf of everybody here at First Racing, and a first glance from Mr. Jeff Siegel, 10 minutes to post to the opener. Good luck.
Jay Cohen brings him out for the first, name for St. John of God Retirement and Multi-Care Center. Scratch 3, Teton Valley. Early pick 5 kicks off in 9 minutes.
Well, thank you for joining us here at Santa Anita for a day of races. I'm Millie Ball in the paddock, and my observations in here, I can't disagree with anyone who doesn't like the favorite, See Through It, who is a short price and deserves to be off of form. But a couple of others that I would consider in here. The number one, Barristan the Bold for Lee Barocio. This 7-year-old gelding, he ran a giant race 2 races back, and I asked what happened last time out, and he said that Kyle Frey made this big move. He was a little closer than he wanted Kyle to be, but he made this big move on the horse, and the horse just slipped, lost his footing that day, and kind of not wrapped up, but just didn't continue to progress with the horse. So I'm going to put a line through that race and look at this horse, thinking, believing that he can race back to that performance 2 back. The other horse in here to look at, I think, is the number 4, Can't Beat the Rock. He looked fantastic. He carries a ton of condition. You look at him at first and you think, well, he's too probably stocky for a turf horse, but you go back and think of horses like United and some of the really good turf horses we've seen in the past, and they were big, heavy horses. Can't Beat the Rock, when speaking to Lorenzo Ruiz, he said he really woke up with those races at night over at Los Alamitos. He's put back-to-back good performances together since then, and he is expecting him to run another good race. He's feeling really well, according to his exercise rider, who used to be the exercise rider years ago for Ted West before he retired. The number 5, Natural Power for Vladimir Serin. This gelding, speaking to him, he said he ran a very big race in the stakes company there at Turf Paradise. He came back at Santa Anita and he ran okay, not a bad performance. He said it was credible, but he believes that he will step forward and will really need to do so in order to beat the outside horse at 3 to 5. Those are my paddock observations. 5 minutes until race number 1. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to the Saturday card here at Santa Anita Park. I'm Jessica Pfeiffer, and standing at the gate, watching the horses warm up. I've really noticed quite a few of them looking really good here. One in particular, I thought the number 5 for Vladimir Surin, Natural Power, looked really good coming up here. He looked like he was on his toes, and I love the Kent Desormeaux and Vladimir Surin combination. But another one that is walking past me just now is your morning line and post time favorite in the number 6, See Through It.